Am I the a-hole for moving to a hotel because my wife's family insisted I sleep on a couch? My wife and I got married last summer. Her family lives across the country from us, so up until this point, I had never actually visited them. But I had met them a handful of times, and we've always gotten along fine. They invited us to come visit and stay with them for a few days, and we took them up on the offer. We flew in yesterday, and everything went well. Her dad and I watched football while she caught up with her mom and sisters, and then we had a really nice dinner. But things went south at the end of the night when it was made clear that they didn't want me sharing a bed with my wife while in their home, and that they expected me to sleep on a couch. I honestly thought they were joking at first, but they insisted we sleep separately. I had a problem with the implication that I shouldn't be allowed to sleep next to my wife, that I also have a bad back, and a couch did not look the least bit comfortable as they don't have a guest room. After arguing back and forth for a bit, I decided to leave and book a hotel. I told my wife she didn't have to come with me. She chose to stay and I said I'd come back the next day. I went off to a Marriott about 10 minutes away and got a good night's sleep, trying to not let the whole situation bother me. This morning, I called my wife asking when I should come by. She told me her parents want me to apologize for leaving the way I did. I told her that I'm willing to apologize to keep the peace, but they need to acknowledge that it wasn't appropriate to insist I can't share a bed with my own wife. She said she'd talk to them and call me back. About 10 minutes later, I heard back from her and she tells me that not only will they not apologize for it, they are now insisting I need to come back and stay on the couch for the rest of our visit. And if I don't agree to this, I'm not welcome back in the house. I'm pretty livid at this point. I told her that there's absolutely no chance that I will do that, and I am no longer willing to offer any sort of apology. My wife's sisters are now bothering me saying this is just the way their parents are, that my wife is very upset, and that I need to just give in and stay on the couch for the rest of the trip before this turns into some sort of family feud. From my perspective, I don't care what they think, and I'm willing to treat the rest of this trip as a solo vacation, go sightseeing, and meet my wife back at the airport at the end of the week. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. What kind of people are these? Are they deeply religious, right-wing evangelical types? Your in-laws are definitely the a-holes. I would never visit them again. Believe it or not, they're actually super liberal Bernie supporters. They do go to church on the regular, but I never expected this sort of behavior from them. This is unlikely to be about religion or politics then. This is about them not respecting your wife as an adult and you as her partner. Not the a-hole. Your in-laws are abhorrent hosts. It's their house, their rules, and their rules are stupid. Rather than fighting a pointless battle, you set a clear and valid boundary, and they chose to take offense to it. They want you to stay on their couch because it's a power play. You staying in a hotel takes that power away, and they can't handle it. The fact that your wife doesn't have your back on this is a giant red flag. Good luck. I just saw a similar story like this on Pet Revenge. Wait until they come visit you, offer them a place to stay, then insist your father-in-law sleep on the couch. Your house, your rules. Not the a-hole. Tell your wife you're going to book your ticket home for today. Ask her if she wants you to change her ticket to go home with you, or if she wants you to cancel it because she'd rather live with her parents forever. I thought about it, but I've already taken the week off and the weather here is much nicer than where we live. I have no problem just spending the week by myself at the beach. Next story. Am I the a-hole for insisting that I know exactly why my sister-in-law wants to come stay with my wife and I before I agree? My wife, 36 female, and I, 38 male, have been married for 10 years and have 2 kids, 7 and 4. My wife has a younger sister, Beth, 25 female. Beth and I don't get along very well, but we are cordial, and she's a good aunt to our kids. Beth got engaged to her high school sweetheart last summer, and their wedding is scheduled for this coming summer. But last week, my wife came to me and told me that Beth wants to come stay with us for a while. I immediately started asking questions because Beth lives over 2 hours away from us and usually plans visits out weeks in advance. My wife told me that it is a personal matter and that I need to respect Beth's privacy in that regard. I asked my wife how long Beth would be staying, and she told me that she doesn't know, and that all she will tell me is that the wedding is currently on hold and that Beth needs a place to stay for a bit. I said that if I'm going to agree to an open-ended stay from someone who I don't get along with very well, I feel like I have a right to at least know why that person is going to be staying with us. My wife told me that it's a personal matter, and that she has agreed with Beth's request to keep it private, and that if Beth wants to tell me about it, she will on her own. I told her that I don't really feel comfortable with that kind of plan and that I would like some more information before I agree to it. At that point, my wife got upset with me and told me that she isn't looking for my approval because she's already told Beth that she can come stay with us. She reiterated that I need to respect Beth's privacy on this and that she needs me to just trust her on this. I told her I do trust her, but that she's asking for a pretty big thing without giving me much information, and that I don't feel comfortable going into something like this completely blind. She said that Beth needs family support and we are the only ones who can give that to her. My wife's dad passed away during the pandemic, and her mom is already in an assisted living facility. She told me that she needs me to just be caring and kind to Beth, and to not bring up anything related to her engagement or wedding unless Beth brings it up to me first. I told her that I don't appreciate being left in the dark about something that is resulting in another adult living in our house for an open-ended period of time. She told me that she just needs me to trust her and be supportive of her sister. I kept trying to get more information, but my wife eventually snapped at me to just stop asking questions because she's not telling me anything else and I need to just shut up and do this for her and her sister. She did immediately apologize, but told me that she needs me to do this for her because it's important and that she doesn't want to hear one more thing about why Beth is staying with us. I tried to ask at least how long Beth would be staying, but she cut me off and said, "What the hell did I just say about questions?" Not the a-hole. Everyone is acting like it's obvious what is going on, but that doesn't seem to be the case to me at all. Sister-in-law has an emergency situation that requires privacy is all you know, and I do believe you reasonably should know why she's moving in. Is sister-in-law in danger? Is sister-in-law afraid of her fiancé or suffering from domestic violence? Is sister-in-law bringing danger to your own household? Is sister-in-law coping with mental health issues? Is your own family properly equipped to provide the help that she needs while maintaining your own well-being? To me, sister-in-law needs to stay with us and the reasons are a deep secret is not sufficient. Yes, there are other plausible explanations such as cheating that are embarrassing that sister-in-law would prefer to keep private. But I believe your wife and sister-in-law should provide more information for you to form your own comfort with the situation and understand what it is you're dealing with. Not to form some moral judgment of the situation, but you deserve a say in this. There is a whole spectrum between we are taking a break, wedding on hold, to domestic violence. At the very least, the wife needs to come clean about what they are doing going forward, both for the husband and the kids in the house. Is the ex likely to come by looking to meet with his sister for either reconciliation or something more nefarious? Are we telling people she is staying with us or is it incognito? If the kids answer the phone and it's their uncle, who presumably they've met, what do they say? What does the husband say if he calls, etc.? Those are the basic safety considerations I've had to consider in the past when friends have had to stay with us. And it doesn't need to get into who was cheating on who or other drama. Just tell him what to expect going forward is a basic courtesy, versus being so mysterious, and basically telling him he isn't authorized to know anything in his own house. Not the a-hole, but I'm pretty sure it is along the lines of either Beth cheating or her fiancé cheating. Also, your wife needs to understand she can't make unilateral decisions regarding things like this. Give her a deadline that Beth can stay for a week. Otherwise, she can leave the house with Beth. It's not a reason of why Beth is staying is important, but the timelines and lack of communication. That makes me call you not the a-hole, but your wife is a major a-hole. Something tells me that if it was the fiancé who had cheated, Opie would have been told that by his wife. Maybe the shameful secret is that the sister cheated, and that is why the wife doesn't want to tell her husband. Money is on the sister-in-law cheating, hence the don't ask. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take a DNA test to confirm my fiancé and I are not related because I'm uncomfortable sharing my DNA with big business? So my 27 male, fiancé 26 female is adopted. She was adopted at birth and hasn't had any contact with her birth family. She read an article a few months ago about a married couple who were both adopted and found out they were biological siblings 6 years into their marriage. Now, she's worried that might be us, even though I was not adopted. I've explained to her over and over again that my parents have been faithful to each other, so there is no way we are siblings. She still wants us to get tested, in case there is an uncle or other relative of mine that slept around. She knows her birth mother was a prostitute, and our families lived in the same major city. I think she's being ridiculous. I don't want to waste $200 on us getting tested. I don't want to have my DNA sitting on some database where it can be hacked into. I also don't want my data sitting on a website where anyone connected to my tree can find me. It weirds me out. I told her I wasn't comfortable with her getting tested either, because who knows what skeletons her biological family has in the closet. I don't want her to find out if she's related to bad people and then be upset. I also don't want half of my future kids' genetic makeup sitting in some confidential corporate database. I told her all of this, but she still brings it up. I may have crossed a line today when I told her she was being disrespectful of my family by indicating one of them may have abandoned their child. She started crying and left, and now she's not answering any of my phone calls or texts, and her sister is calling me an a-hole for saying mean things about her biological family. As far as I'm concerned, they abandoned her, so they are dead to me and I don't owe them any respect. On the other hand, they're genetically related to her, so maybe by proxy I'm calling her a deadbeat too? I still don't want either of us to do the test, but I have a feeling this isn't going to blow over. So am I the a-hole if I continue standing firm and refuse to get tested? Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Dude, you could just go to your medical provider, explain the situation, and have them run a comparison. It's really not rocket science, and the results don't need to be stored or skeletons unearthed. But it is an easy way to get the answer your future wife is after unsettling her mind. As to the reasoning for the doc, we are thinking of having children and there is valid concern that we are related. Please have our DNA compared. I didn't realize this was an option, but it sounds like a good compromise if it isn't too expensive. I'll look into it. You would have known it was an option if you had looked into options when your fiancé first mentioned her concerns. If it is this important to her, the fiancé could have done the same. You're the a-hole. I was going to go with no a-holes here until I read your last stanza. That is plain mean, man. You are insulting her birth parents while even she doesn't know much about them. Her concerns are also more severe than yours. How could she be feeling safe and happy with you with questions like that lurking in her head? This will definitely not blow over. You'd be wiser to give in. I decided he was the a-hole when he said he doesn't want her to take the DNA test. He's allowed to be private about his own DNA, and he has to respect her choice to share her DNA and find her birth family. He's decided for her that finding her birth family is pointless. You're the a-hole. My dad was a monster. I know that fear of sleeping with a relative, and it's horrible. My father-in-law was also adopted, so knowing that we both had mystery backgrounds prompted me to join their DNA collector of choice, especially before we have kids. Your outlook on adoption is revolting. Pretending it's some easy thing? Wow. And on top of it all, your BS reasons and why she can't do it. She has valid concerns, and you pretending your family is skeleton-free will bite you one day. Break up with her. You don't take her concerns seriously, and I wonder what other concerns you won't take seriously in the future. Opie didn't pretend it was easy. He pretended anyone who gives up their kid is a terrible person, which is so wrong. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not asking my ex for help when my daughter had her period? I do not in any way, shape, or form limit contact or communication between my ex and our kids. My ex works out of town. She works for 2 weeks and then gets a week off. I used to do that schedule as well, but I now work from home as a maintenance planner. When we divorced, I got primary custody of our daughter and son since I was the one available to do the parenting. I have very little interest in discussing anything with my ex. Yes, there is a lot of bitterness and recrimination in our relationship. I loved my ex with all my heart, and while I always thought she was beautiful, it wasn't as easy for other people to see. However, when you are one of a dozen women in a 2,000-man work camp, you get a lot of attention. That's all I'm going to say about that. My daughter is 10 years old and she just got her first period. I grew up with sisters and I'm not a complete idiot, so I had read up on what to do. I had also talked to my mom and sisters about it. I had been prepared since she was 8. I gave her the boxes of pads and tampons. I explained to her that it was normal and healthy. I watched a video with her that was a tutorial on what to do. I also asked her if she would like to talk to either my sister or the woman I'm seeing about how to do everything right. She said that she understood and would like to talk to my sister on the weekend. After dinner on Saturday, my sister talked to me about it. She said that I had gotten the basics correct and there was only a couple of things she needed to explain or correct. My ex called to talk to the kids yesterday and afterwards yelled at me on the phone. She called me an a-hole for excluding her from a milestone in her daughter's life. I asked her if it had happened during her week with the kids if she would have told me about it. She said that wasn't the point. It was a mother-daughter thing and that I took it away from her. I said it was a parent-kid medical issue and that made it a me thing. I am a man, so maybe I just don't get it. Am I the a-hole? not the a-hole. You handled the situation very well and managed to teach your daughter everything she needed to know, as well as redirecting her to people who could also advise her. I don't see the need for you to have immediately gone to tell your ex about her first period, especially considering that it was already happening, although it might have been nice if you told her after you figured it out. Anyway, well done. Seriously, if every father/brother/man treated their daughters/sisters with such respect, the world would be such a better place. Not the a-hole. It's a natural and normal part of your daughter's life. You are her parent and guardian. Your daughter can decide to share that info or not. You did absolutely nothing wrong tending to her immediate needs. Exactly. With my first period, my mom told my entire family, excluding a few uncles. It was already embarrassing, and once she told me who else she told, I wanted to die of embarrassment. I completely agree that it should be up to the daughter who she tells that she got her first period, as long as one adult is told so they can teach her what is happening. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé I am not willing to lie about how we met to her family and friends? I met my fiancé online on a dating app. We have been together for 2 years now and got engaged recently. However, she keeps telling me that during the wedding she wants me to give a speech, talking about how I met her while she was working at a coffee shop, and I was so attracted to her that it was love at first sight, and I immediately asked her to be my girlfriend. She says that this makes her look better and will make her look good to her friends if I say that she was so beautiful that I immediately ask her out. To clarify, she is saying I have to say that I asked her to be my girlfriend right at the counter, without even having any sort of conversation with her first. The only problem is I feel very uncomfortable with this untrue versions of events. I'm happy to say she is beautiful and that I really love her personality, and that we had a great connection. But I'm uncomfortable with this portrayal of myself as some sort of creep who asks a complete stranger to be my girlfriend. There are other lies that she wants me to go along with too. For example, I inherited a house from my grandparents, but she is asking me to tell all her friends and family that I myself paid for and bought her the house because she is so special. After I said no, she has been saying that I care more about the opinions of other people than how she feels, and that she is reconsidering if she wants to be with someone who isn't on her side. Do I have a point, or does she? Just to be clear, my fiancé said that the reason she wants me to do the speech and tell people I bought her a house is so that her friends will envy her. She has already told her friends and family those things, but it's another thing to want me to actually talk about them and lie about these things. She knows that my friends and family know I inherited a house and that we met on a dating app, but she says I have to warn them not to say anything and pretend to believe me at the wedding. She gave me an ultimatum that we won't get married if I don't agree, and hasn't talked to me for days. It looks like I'm not the a-hole based on responses. How can I get her to see the light? Now for the top comments. She has been saying that I care more about the opinions of other people. She cares what other people think. That's why you need to change the narrative. She's ashamed of the dating app and doesn't like that you didn't buy your own house. Not the a-hole, obviously. Edit. Also OP, no reason to lie about meeting online. Got my girlfriend on Tinder almost 5 years ago and I'm proud of it. Or worse, wants to establish that the house is also hers to take it when she leaves. Yeah, I thought of that too. That's a slippery road for OP because she established to all her family and friends that the house is 100% hers. So if he doesn't, our him would make sure I can prove all of them that he inherited it, and that she never owned a cent of it when the moment comes, because the moment will come. Oh, it for sure will. I get a sense already that this girl is a little shallow and believes good optics/appearances justify lying. People like that, in my experience, would get on the standard court and say the house was hers. Everyone's saying the lying is the red flag, but had anyone stopped to consider the fact that she's trying to get him to reconsider by threatening to leaving him and calling off the wedding? That's manipulation. She's trying to manipulate you by implying she's going to leave if you don't do exactly what she wants and comply to her crazy rules. To me, that's the biggest red flag of all OP. The rest of your life is going to be like this. Reconsider marrying her. Big red flags here. You can easily turn the truth into a cute story, and you should work on that together. What other lies has she told her friends and family? Indeed, what other lies has she told you? Yeah, dude. All I see is red, red, red. So much red, I'm convinced Moses is going to manifest from thin air and park your post. Why is she so adamant about all of these lies? Definitely not today, Hall. So this means she's already been lying to everyone about how you met and your house. I mean, if you're engaged, I imagine she's already been asked how you guys met. If you moved into a house together, people would have asked her about that too. Now she needs you to back up the story so she doesn't get caught. This is crazy behavior. If I were you, I would be very concerned about what else she has lied about. She has lied. She also tells her friends and family that I gave her a monthly allowance, saying she wants them to envy her. She told me she's going to quit her job after marriage so that her friends will envy that she gets to stay at home. I personally think the reason is silly that she's so competitive with her friends, but I've agreed because I don't want to lose her. Dude, she is giving off so many red flags here. When you're wearing rose-tinted glasses, red flags are just flags. Next story. Am I the a-hole for getting frustrated with my boyfriend for implying I don't deserve to make the money I make? I'm a 28-year-old woman and I got really lucky to get the job I have right now. I studied electrical and computer engineering in college and job hopped 4 times. Each time I switched jobs, I negotiated really hard for pay and benefits. I'm making $160,000 now, working remotely and living in a very low cost of living area. It's a really nice gig, and I recognize I'm extremely lucky to have interests that line up with a super well-paying industry, and super lucky to have been able to go to college at all. But despite that, I feel like I did work to deserve it somewhat. College was super demanding and difficult. My first few jobs had grueling schedules, and I feel like I'm being paid more for the knowledge I built over all that time. But still, I have to admit it's pretty cushy. I never work over 40 hours a week. My coworkers never contact me about work outside of my 9 to 5. I get paid stupid good money for it, and I have 2 months vacation time. So on to the conflict. My boyfriend used to work outside of home. He is an IT admin at a large company. But because of the pandemic, his job became partially remote. So we're working out of the same house, and I think he sees how different our jobs at pay are. He makes $65,000 a year and works a lot longer hours. He usually starts his day at 7 or 8 a.m. and works till 6 or 7 p.m. He more often has to work weekends to do IT stuff, and he's on call for emergencies with his personal phone. And it seems like they're having emergencies every week. So since we've been working from home together, he makes comments about it occasionally. Like, must be nice kinds of things. Recently he's gotten more frustrated with me though. Yesterday I had a bad headache, so I told my boss that I was going to be away from my desk for a while since I wasn't feeling well. I blocked out a 2-hour meeting on my calendar so people wouldn't try and reach me and took a nap. My boyfriend saw me napping during work and said, "They're really paying you to sleep, huh?" I snapped at him saying that they were paying me for my skills and that I didn't like the way he had been talking about my job. He said something petty about my skills at napping and shooting the shit on Zoom and how that's definitely worth 6 figures. I got really irritated and said that just because he was underpaid doesn't mean that he could call me overpaid. And if he was mad, he should go take that out on his boss, not me. He said that I was being ridiculous. He'd be the crapper at work if he did. I said maybe he needs to find a better job if his boss isn't ready to talk money. He called me privileged and out of touch and said that it isn't that easy to just go find a better job. I said that if you don't try, you're never going to know. He got irritated and stormed out. Am I the a-hole for how I talked to my boyfriend about work? Not the a-hole. He is jealous, which isn't healthy, but you earned what you have and you should be proud. Don't let his fragile ego bring you down. This. To add on, his jealousy is a red flag. Partners should be happy for each other and build each other up. Making comments like that isn't healthy. Exactly. Her success did not come at the expense of his. In a healthy relationship, one person's success benefits both. Not the a-hole, obviously, but I'm really sorry this isn't going to work out. For a partnership to work, you need to support each other and build each other up. He's jealous, of course. Me too. Stupid arts degree. But he's trying to diminish you rather than celebrating where you've gotten to and asking for advice. You really do deserve someone who thinks you're amazing. This right here. My work situation is similar to OP's, and my wife was surprised at first when she realized it. Never did she put me down or diminish it. Instead, she talks about how inspiring it is to her to see how my company treats me, and how she hopes to find as good of a career as me someday. She's significantly younger. OP deserves a partner mature enough to handle the ramifications of his own decisions. So I had a boyfriend that belittled me and started fights over arbitrary things because I was making double what he was. His insecurity blinded his ability to be happy for what I worked really hard for. I'm saying everything in past tense because I dumped a guy and found someone who supports me in every way possible. You should do the same. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to go to my sister's wedding? My sister is getting married next month. My husband and I were both planning on going, but when we got the invitation, it was only for me. When I called my sister to ask about it, she said my husband was of course fine to come, but she requested that he not be in any family photos. My husband is in a wheelchair. I've been married to him for 8 years. He has been in a wheelchair since he was 16 and my family's always ever known him to be in his chair. Apparently, my sister doesn't want him in any of her wedding photos because she is afraid that he'll take attention away from her because he is different. She justifies this by saying when people come over and see our family photo, they always ask about him because he's the only one that is in a wheelchair, so he stands out. She says she wants to be the main focus in her photos. I was livid. I went off on her and told her she was being a selfish bridezilla and told her we wouldn't be coming. I've been getting calls from my parents and relatives telling me I need to apologize to my sister because now she's upset. I'm angry at them for thinking it's okay to leave my husband out of family photos because of his disability. My husband hates being a burden on people, and he says he's fine with not being in the photos, which made me even angrier because now he feels bad about himself for something I feel is unwanted. Am I the a-hole if I don't support my sister's big day because of this? My husband says we should be there for family even if he can't be in the photos. My family says I need to apologize, but I feel like this is an issue I need to fight for. Am I wrong? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole at all. This is absolutely an issue that you need to fight for. Your sister wants to exclude your husband for no reason than his wheelchair, and that is unacceptable. She's being a bridezilla for sure, and your a-hole family members are backing her up. Don't feel 1 ounce of guilt for her. That's just freaking awful, and she needs to get over herself. OP, schedule a photo shoot with you and your husband on her wedding day. Go all out. Make them spectacular and post them to show how amazingly photogenic your husband is. Your sister wants to spend her day disrespecting your loving marriage because she thinks she's competing with a disability for attention. She clearly doesn't understand relationships enough to get married, although that's another issue, I guess. I wouldn't go to the wedding either because your sister cares more about photos than humans. Tell her to hire some actors that look exactly as she wants them. That way, she gets her perfect moment, and you don't have to be there. That's hilarious. I'll tell her my wedding gift to her is to hire some semi-attractive actors to take our place. That way, she can get the perfect photo. But just semi-attractive. If they're too pretty, then she'll be competing again. Maybe you should leave casting to her and just foot the bill. I told your idea to my husband, and he cracked up. Although he said that since the wedding's mostly family, sending someone in our place would probably cause even more of an attention grab, and what we should do instead is send cardboard cutouts of ourselves in our place. Not stay home. This makes me so mad when people forgot what a wedding is about, just because they want the perfect wedding. Weddings are about two individuals joining their life together and deeply loving each other, not having picture perfect to show and post on your Instagram. This is so superficial. That picture to post on Instagram is very important to her. She has kind of always been obsessed with image. But she's never said anything negative about my husband before, and this request really shocked me. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my mom for refusing to let my wife host a single holiday? I've been married for 6 years, and my wife and my mom have never really gotten along. I don't think my mom is an awful mother-in-law. They just don't vibe, and they avoid each other if they can. I would describe the relationship as frosty. My mom does respect our boundaries and doesn't undermine us as parents. She just keeps a pretty big distance and doesn't interact much. My mom hosts all holidays at her house, as does my mother-in-law. My wife and I rotate which family we celebrate with, and my mom is cool with that and has never pressured us to go to her house. Recently, my wife has expressed that she wants to turn to host, and she feels like since we have kids, 4 and 2, that the mom should hand it over to her. She talked to her mom, who was very sad, but agreed to let my wife have one holiday. I talked to my mom, since we both do the communication with our own family, and my mom said no. I gave her my wife's reasons. 1, we have young kids. 2, we have our own house now and our little family, and it's exciting for my wife. 3, my mom got 20 plus years of hosting. My mom said no again. She said if we don't want to come over, we don't have to, but she will not be coming to our house. She said we can invite my side of the family, but she honestly thinks that would be an a-hole thing to do. I asked if she really was willing to give up her holiday with her grandkids, and she said yes. I did get frustrated and called her selfish. The conversation ended with my mom yelling at me that I'm a hypocrite, and she feels like I expect her to care about my wife more than she is obligated to. I asked around and none of my relatives are willing to come, but my sister did yell at me and said I'm a bad son, and I'm disrespectful for thinking our mom should give up something she cares about. I work for my stepdad's company and is currently not talking to me, and I guess my whole extended family's talking bad about me, and they are offended that I thought they would come to my house. Your mom is being childish and trying to weaponize your relationship to keep a parental control on you. Set up those boundaries. You have your own family life, and it doesn't sound like she's willing to share in it currently. Common mom BS, but you may be surprised how well boundaries and putting your foot down can work. LMAO. I hope his wife wants to host. His mom said she's staying home but hosting her own thing. What boundaries do you think are going to help? If anything, his mom has already set boundaries and put her foot down. If you have kids old enough to host their own holidays, then presumably you have had years and years and years of hosting. There's nothing wrong with allowing your now adult children to host for a change. If everyone hosted their own thing, then no gatherings would exist, and families would all just be at home on their own. Not stay home, but I'm baffled by anyone wanting to host holidays. The best part is going elsewhere to eat too much, and coming home to a quiet house with no mess to clean up. Not stay home, but your side of the family sure is. Wow, so much to unpack here. I don't think my mom is an awful mother-in-law, but the conversation ended with my mom yelling at me that I'm a hypocrite, and she feels like I expect her to care about my wife more than she's obligated to. She's not obligated to care about your wife. She should want to care about the person you have chosen to spend your life with and build a family around. Your mother absolutely is a bad mother-in-law. She is too selfish and controlling to let your wife host a holiday. That is petty and nasty. She has had her time to host. Do your own thing and invite who you want. Those that show up are your true family. Cherish those people. I guess she's a bad mother-in-law. I find my mother-in-law super overbearing and in our face. So sometimes I guess I envy my wife for having a mother-in-law who does not give a hoot.